So by now, this clip is starting to look familiar. We've painted out this tracker a few different ways. I'm gonna go ahead and show you one more way that's kind of the nuclear option, but it will lead into the other retouches that we are going to do, which is removing these cones. So for that, we're gonna have to do a camera track, and I will walk through it one more time. We've done this before, but you know, it's good to continue to go through it. That's how we practice and get better. I'm gonna drag out an action node, make a new input, and connect our front. And remember, I don't want the input itself. I just want to drag out a camera analysis. I want to make sure that the camera is selected, and this is looking at our layer 1, which we have fed in via this node right here. So that's our setup. Now, when I double click the camera analysis node, I have these options right here. Again, I don't know the lens, I don't know anything about the shot, so we're gonna go into it super blind and take away what we can with the information I have, which is that I want the resolution to be quite good, I want the quality to be great, I want to throw a ton of trackers on it because I can, and I want to mask out the human. So to do that, I need to hit the set button, and it's going to do the machine learning on creating an alpha for the talent. So I used the F8 key to cycle through the views, and you will see them change right here in the left side of the screen. So now it's just time to analyze. As you know, I really dislike how I can't see the trackers move. I'm gonna pause, we'll come back when it's nearly done. All right, looks like we're just about back. I find it super annoying that even while I was watching it progress, it would jump up and jump back and kind of stall and never really give me a very good indication of how long the track was taking. At the very least, if it's going to take 20 minutes, just tell me it's going to take 20 minutes. Okay, looks like we're just about done. It took way longer than I had expected, which goes to show why this is a little bit of the nuclear option for doing a simple retouch, because all the other ones maybe took 5-10 minutes. This probably took almost 5 minutes just to do the tracking alone. I really think that part needs to speed up in this tracker. I mean, if you're in Synthesize or any other program, it runs through the tracker really quickly. And if this result was rock solid every time, it'd be worth it. But sometimes it's hit or miss, and I find that kind of frustrating. So either way, here we are. Let's kind of do our due diligence and go through the track and see what's working and not working. I can see there's some problems down here. We'll hit F8 and go through our views again, and now I'm in kind of our perspective view where I can make some adjustments. I'm going to hold down the Alt key to rotate around and orbit, and I can do Control and Spacebar to zoom out. Remember, I have this problem where I can't quite see everything inside my field of view. So even though this will change again once we set the ground, I'm going to go ahead and change the scale just so we can see a little bit clearer. So this is now just going to help me line things up. I know that these trackers are not actually on the ground. I don't know what they're doing, so I'm just going to disable anything that just looks like it's not serving a purpose that's going to help me either identify the ground or just kind of work this track up in general. Other than that, everything else looks pretty good. I mean, or at least good enough for what I need, because I'm really just focusing on the ground. So I'm back in this F8 view, just kind of seeing if there's any trackers that are jumping or just going crazy. It looks pretty good. This clump, yeah, I think this will work out. I mean, I really just care about this right now. I mean, maybe this if we're trying to tackle that as well. So What do we need to do? Well, we could refine because I killed a few trackers. I could also turn the threshold down just if I wanted to, you know, maybe do a slight reduction. So you see some have been turned off, and let's just refine it just to go ahead and kind of tighten it up one more time before we set the ground plane and the origin. All right, so refine is done. Let's go ahead and set the ground plane. So I'm just going to control and drag over points that I am considering to be on the ground. Oh, I can see all those other points came back. Hold on a second. That's no fun. Let's go to F8 again. It's just, I'm not going to refine again. I'm just going to turn these off. I did not expect them to turn back on. I'm not quite sure why that happened. Okay, this looks good. Okay, I'm going to control drag, oops, and find points that I say are on the ground. I'm just going to check it out. Control and shift lets me drag again to remove anything that I don't want. So this all looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit set ground. I know that I want to clean up around this area right here, so we're going to set this as our origin, and now's when I can kind of set the scene scale one more time. So we'll just do that. We'll make it pretty tiny so it can fit in this view. So now what we need to do is I need to go ahead and we're going to end up putting a card here. So let's just grab some points that are around this area, and we will go to track and hit scene trackers. And you'll see if I go to the schematic view with the tilde key, I now have an axis for that area. Let's do one more for just this original tracker. I see. Oops. So we'll grab some more right here, and we'll do a scene tracker. And now we have one that's focused on our, here, let me hide this one, on our original track. Although, let me redo that. Not quite so happy with the location. Okay, that seems better. So we're basically done with the tracker now. We can go back to our result view in F4, and now I have, I'll just hide this one for now. I'll name this one cones. Now by itself, this doesn't do much for us, so let's add a card. I'm just gonna grab a color source, and I'll make it the same resolution as our clip. So to do that, just so you can see it, by default, it was 1920 1080. If I hold the color source and then I click T with the clip, it will take the properties of the clip and apply it to the color source. So now it's UHD, just like our clip was. So Control N, drag out or make a new input, and I'll just connect the card to it. And then I just want to parent this under our trackers. This came in with data that I don't want. I want to zero all this out. And now we have a card that is pretty much in place. I'm going to change the scale a little bit of it because I really only care about the cones. I don't need to make it any bigger than it needs to be. And let's see, maybe a little longer. And that's perfectly good for right now. So next step is we need to add a diffuse to do our projection. I already have a layer set, but just so everyone can see the process, we're gonna add another one. These two are the same, but it helps just for what we're trying to do. I want to make sure that this is a diffuse map. I want to make sure that layer 3 was selected, which it was, so now we see a 3 here. And then when I double click this diffuse map, I have some options when I click texture. I want to do a projection, and right now if we just project the camera that we have tracked, you'll see that it's rebuilt exactly as it was shot, and that's exactly what we were looking for. But what you see here, and you get a sense of that when we just hit space F4, which is our working view, is that it kind of looks like it's frozen, and that's exactly what we're looking for. But how do we get that frozen card into a view that we can work with? Well, that's where this next step comes. We want to add a camera to our, basically to our projection, and we're going to change the view that we're looking through. So now I've parented a camera to our projection, and let's just call this top, because basically this is going to become a top-down view. So we want to actually view our scene through this top-down camera. And if I turn off the icons with the I key, you can see that I've now got this kind of flattened view. Now I can go ahead and zoom in or out. You know, I want as much resolution as possible, but obviously you don't want to clip anything, and I want a little bit of padding in case you need to clean up anything else around it. So that looks pretty good. If I wanted to really try to flatten it out a little bit more and get a true top-down view, I can move it. So there are ways for me to kind of manipulate the camera as I need to, but generally just parenting the camera to your projection surface will kind of give you what you need, which in this case is perfectly enough for me to do the work. So now it's just as easy as grabbing a paint node, and I'm just going to go through the sequence one more time, and we're just going to paint on the entire sequence. I want to do a recursive clone. I'm going to hit the S key to make my brush bigger, and then Control and click where I want to sample from and apply the painting to. So from here, I'm just going to do a nice quick paint job and kind of play it through. I see the cone comes up again. Notice I have not moved my relationship between the where I'm painting from into. I've left that intact so that everything is just as aligned as it was when I started. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now we need to kind of invert this whole process so that we can feed this back through our camera. So I'm going to duplicate our whole setup. I was doing the work on media 3, so I'm just going to use that and connect the front and the alpha. You've probably seen me do this before. I'm going to expand the alpha just a little bit so I have a little bit more. So a little more coverage, and now I just need to invert everything. So originally we were looking through our top camera. I want to go back to looking at the scene through the tracked camera, which is over here. And now I want to project onto the top camera as opposed to the camera that was tracked. So now when you see this, this is our cleanup. If I turn the background back on, you'll see that the cones are gone. There's our cones. Here they are removed. Obviously, we're going to need to roto some feet back in, but let's just render this out and see. Let's see how we're looking. I'll just play this back. Just loop it. So yeah, I would say that's a good start. So from here, I would just start to, you could do this part at any time, but you know, I start to roto the legs, and we're going to have to rebuild the foot. So we will continue with, once I've done some roto, we'll continue by doing some painting in the next video. Thanks everyone. I'll do a recap of this when we jump back in for part 2, in case I quickly went over anything that I needed to brush up on. So thank you. Bye.